Hi, you guys. I wanted to say thank you so much for all the wonderful DMs I received on my Instagram and in my Twitter and on my Patreon. I really, really appreciate it. You guys said so many sweet words to me. I felt like I had, 1,000 people rallying around me during one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make because I value life so much. But I wanted to tell you guys thank you because it was so beautiful. And in a world where there isn't a lot of that going around right now, it was a great reminder that good people like you exist. So thank you. And Buffy's over the Rainbow Bridge, and I think she's playing right now with my mom and my grandmother and the rest of my family because I've had a lot of my family members pass away. So she's having a party over there. All right, you guys, let's get into the video today. Katherina Mazepa, her name Nahlik or whatever. Let's get into the video. Katherina Nahlik, aka Katherina Mazepa, who is soon to be Katherina Hochstein, Dr. Lenny's mistress, then fiancé, now going to be his wife, dropped an interview with Up and Adam yesterday. And there was some drama around this interview in that I guess some people didn't want it released because they felt that it was a really bad thing to give Katherina a platform. But then Katherina was like, oh no, I'm releasing this. And again, Katherina takes what doesn't belong to her. So full disclosure, on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in season 1, I'm pregnant, and you see me pop in and out planning Taylor Armstrong's, $60,000 4-year-old tea party birthday. Then I am planning my wedding in season 2 as a friend of Taylor Armstrong, and then I lose my shit in season 3, and you guys find out that the wedding I was planning in season 2 was falling apart because my ex had a double life with a mistress who was a lingerie model. And I had a small baby, and he was basically going to leave me for the lingerie model. And it became pretty public in the sense that the wedding was off and all this, but I didn't have it play out totally on TV, except in what you see in the train wreck scene, season 3, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you haven't searched it, do it. You can see it on YouTube. Anyway, point is, I feel for Lisa Hochstein. It's going to come across in this video, so I don't want to lie to you guys. That's where I'm coming from on this. And I watch this interview more like I would watch, something like I want to know how a serial killer thinks. I'm not saying she's a serial killer, but like, how does a mistress think? That's what I wanted to know. So, if you are pro Katherina, you may want to not watch this video because it's probably not going to be for you. But if you're not, then you might want to watch this one. But I do have an opinion on this one, and it's not as even as I normally am, although I'll try. But I wanted to give you that heads up. So this is part 1. This is the first 15 minutes of the interview that I'm going to comment on. And then I will also do this for part 2 and part 3, and I will release them all today. So yeah, doing them on the fly. Fun. Here we go.
I want to get to know you. Who is Katherina, right? Like, what was your journey to the United States? What gets the fire going inside of you? Where are you? There's so much. So let's start from the beginning. For those who are watching, where are you from?
I'm from Vienna, Austria. My entire family is from Austria. This is where I grew up, and I always had just this hunger to see the world and to learn about different cultures. And my biggest passion in life is traveling and seeing the world and learning new things and getting more perspective on life and different people and cultures. So when I was 14 years old, I went on an exchange year. I spent a year in Malaysia with a Malaysian family. I learned the national language, and from there it just my drive and my hunger for adventure just grew from there. And I returned to Austria. I skipped a grade in high school. I continued to learn more languages. I speak 4 at this time, hopefully a 5th one day. And Then I started modeling when I was 16 years old, mainly because I just wanted to travel, because it's one of the few professions in the world where you can just go and you wake up and you have a different day on a different set with different people each and every day. And I think that's such an incredible blessing. So when I finished high school with 17, I did go to university in Vienna. However, I always worked on the side to support myself. And I moved to Singapore for a few months, worked in Southeast Asia, came back to Europe, and while still studying, lived in like all sorts of different cities in Europe. And I mean, I just have so many stories to tell from that time. Maybe for another day, maybe for something stronger than wine.
Yeah.
But I just feel very blessed to have lived on 4 different continents. And now finally my journey has taken me to the United States, and I'm just incredibly grateful to be here.
Now, some people felt that Katherina didn't deserve any platform, but I do think it's important to give every person a voice, and I'm glad Up and Adam and Jason decided to do that. It was brave of them to do, because the Bravo community obviously does not embrace Katherina, but good for you guys for getting the scoop. Now, I was a publicist for many years, so here's some insight for you. Notice Katherina's white suit. Conservative, white like an angel. This was definitely, as I have mentioned, a publicity effort on her part. She has very intentionally selected everything so that she would come off angelic-like and innocent. She also wanted you to take away from that clip that she's highly intelligent, although a model, and the rumors that she's a gold digger that was just looking for Dr. Lenny's lifestyle couldn't possibly be true, because she has such a solid career in her own right. So if I had been her publicist, I would have told her this is actually not the best approach, because you come out of the gate and you should actually dismantle everyone's feelings of anger towards you because you were the mistress to Dr. Lenny while Lisa Hochstein was with him. And whether or not you want to embrace that, you are. That is what you are. So you have to take that off the table first before you start to rebuild how everybody thinks of you. Because you started off with rebuilding what everybody thinks of you from the gate, the problem with that is a lot of people are going to go, I see that you're trying too hard. And I mean, what a bunch of BS. Right off the bat, she should have nipped that in the bud, and she should have taken a position, whether it was a lie or not, because let's face it, a lot of this interview feels a little fabricated. But what she should have said was this: Dr. Lenny and I had an emotional affair during the time that he was with Lisa Hochstein, but we had no physical interaction while he was with his wife until he left. Not true, probably, but say it, because that's what you're doing this interview for, is to try to clean up your image and put everybody back on a path where they could like you again. At least if you acknowledge it, then everything that we've seen play out on television, right? Like Dr. Lenny on a hot mic moment talking about how he's seeing somebody else and leaving his wife and hasn't told Lisa Hochstein, might land a little different for you. Because no matter what you say at this point in the interview, all people can think about is that. Because you could be like, I'm a Nobel Prize winner, but people are like, yeah, but you're also a bitch.
Oh, was that normal? Or were they like, oh, here we go?
Yeah, I mean, for them, they were like, I come from I love my family, more than words can say. They have a very different, maybe a more traditional outlook and a more traditional mindset. Both my parents are scientists. Both are extremely smart, extremely educated, but very like 9 to 5, if you will.
Which there's no problem with that.
There's no problem with that, but like I just always wanted to see more of the world and follow my passion.
I mean, I feel like I've said the same thing to my family. My parents are very hard workers, very 9 to 5, and it was something that I never wanted, and they were like, good luck. Like, have fun. Like, pave your way. You can figure it out. And I was like, first I got to find a husband. And then after I find a husband, then I'll figure it out. But so modeling is a huge part of your life, and your career is a big part of your life.
Yes.
Right? But you have to have other passions. Like, for you, where do your interests lie? Like, is there anything that you're super passionate about, or any organizations that you have like teamed up with? Like,
Absolutely. There's like a very long list. So personally, I have stopped to eat meat when I was 11 years old. I was at the time being like vegan for many years. Now I'm just like back to not eating meat. But with animals and animal rights is something that's always been a cause extremely close to my heart. I've volunteered a lot in the past. Like, would spend my lunch breaks in high school. I was that girl, like with glasses and like a little like clipboard and like collecting signatures. That was me. And and I'm just like in more expensive clothes, in a more expensive house, but in my heart I am the same. And most recently I've been working with PETA, the animal rights organization, to help animals in labs that are being exposed to cruel experiments. So right now I am raising in a huge social media campaign awareness, funds and signatures to help animals in labs, more specifically mice.
Well, thank goodness Katherina is saving the mice in the labs everywhere. They're very grateful. And she's working with PETA. I did look down in her feed, anything pre Dr. Lenny's Halloween party, which was like, 2 weeks ago, to see how much animal activism was represented in her feed, because I'm sure there must be some since she has been so into this charity for so long. Funny though, couldn't find any. Yeah. Well, wonder how the mice feel about that. So obviously I'm making fun of the fact that this is a PR move to associate yourself with a widely loved and embraced charity such as PETA, because it protects animals and people love their animals. As you guys well know, I loved mine. So it's a way to connect a bond with a bunch of people that, generally speaking, you won't get backlash over. More on that later. Katherina, you'll hear her say later in this interview, is mainly a lingerie model. However, it is really difficult to take this interview seriously when her entire feed is of her naked, trying to be seductive on every single picture. At least in her older Instagram, you had a mix of a young girl seeing the world. You saw her in clothing, trying to model, behind the scenes modeling. You also saw her, getting ready for her marriage, this and that. There were a lot of pictures of her in a bathing suit or lingerie intermingled in that, but there was like glimpses of another side of herself. In her current Instagram, you can go down and scroll, and it's pretty much her naked or with her ass out or in lingerie the entire time, which is a completely different message than the one she's trying to get across the line here in this interview, which is why I'm struggling with it already.
And I'm just like in the morning when I wake up and I think about making a difference in this field, like I get excited. It like ignites something inside of me. And Lenny's being very supportive of this, and he even agreed to let me do my own, like, it's going to be like an art installation at Halloween that I'm very excited about, to raise awareness and collect signatures to help mice who are currently trapped in labs to break free.
Wow. And so for the famous Halloween party, the Hochstein Halloween party, you're gonna double that as an opportunity.
Exactly. I mean, obviously this is an incredible party, but she has been doing for a very long time. So coming in, I'm just like, how can I contribute? How can I make this even more amazing? So yeah, I'm teaming up with PETA to raise awareness for something that really matters to me.
The art installation she's referring to was like a decoration at the Halloween party that was like Free the Rats or something. I'm just saying, okay. I don't know if I'd call it an art installation. That's a bit of a stretch. I also want to say, no wonder she's grateful. She's instantly inserted herself in a $60 million lifestyle. What? I mean, the way she's talking about Lenny's house and cars and money and being grateful is like she earned it or something. She didn't earn it. She slept with some guy and got it. And it's not hers, it's his. What is she like? I mean, what Kool-Aid is this lady drinking that she thinks we're going to be like, oh, you know, this lifestyle, you deserve it. It's so good that you're grateful because this lifestyle you made from scratch and earned. She didn't earn anything. What is this crap?
I love that. Now, I do want to jump back in a little bit and ask you, and please take a sip of wine for this one. I want to know, yeah, maybe two. Honestly, take all the wine, because this question might throw you for a loop. And I just want it to be known, like, I was not going to give you the questions before coming on here, and I wanted to ask you the questions. I wanted it to be authentic, and I didn't know how you were going to react to them, and I don't know how you're going to react to this. But have you had any communication with your ex or Lenny's ex? I'm sorry, Lisa. Zero.
All the talking that I do with these people is through the court system and my lawyers.
Huh.
And that's it.
So there's no passing by, you don't see...
No, and like the media likes to paint this like image of like a cat fight, right? Like a back and forth, but there is no back and forth. There really isn't.
No.
So you guys know that I lived in the same neighborhood that Lisa Hochstein lives in, and also where Katherina was staying with Dr. Lenny when he was living out of the Star Island house. And it's called South of Fifth. It's so small. It's like, look how tiny it is. Okay, that is like, I don't know, 6 blocks. Okay, so all the cool restaurants and clubs and, you know, when you're in that neighborhood, it is so hard to drive around because there's so much traffic in Miami Beach now that you pretty much just walk to your neighborhood places in this area because they're also some of the better, more trendy restaurants and bars anyway. So just the concept that she is not running into Lisa Hochstein and her boyfriend and Lenny, you know, and her not being seen in places that Larsa and Lisa Hochstein are going to is just absurd. The neighborhood is so tiny, and it may not be intentional, but they're definitely overlapping where they're going because there's only like 4 hot places in the neighborhood. I'm just saying. So this is just bullshit. Like, no, is she stalking them and vice versa? No, they're not stalking each other, but they're definitely running into each other, and it's not the tabloids' fault. Of course they are. Of course they are.
It is wild because Jason came up to me, you know, maybe it was a week ago and showed me a Page 6 post. And I think there were like 2 or 3. And it was, you know, this wild interaction, argument that happened at this restaurant. And you have moved out of the house and you are, and we're at the house, you know, like that's clearly not true. And that interaction, I'm guessing, didn't happen.
There was no interaction. Like, there's not been an interaction for my behalf in a very, very long time. And I mean, like, you read these articles, and I don't really know how to quite put it into context, but I think the best example I could come up with is, like, how would you feel if, like, somebody sat across from you and they were like, Adam, you look so stupid with your green hair. Like, your initial reaction would probably be like,
I don't have green hair.
As you're like, I don't have green hair. I don't know what you're talking about. And when I see these articles, like, this is exactly how I feel because I know my truth. I'm very confident in who I am, and that's about it.
Okay, I mean, I think that's a really positive outlook to have.
Yeah. I feel like in life, it's all we can do. As you said, we cannot control other people. We can only control our reactions. And no matter what happens to me, I choose to view life as if it happens for me and not to me.
Okay, this was the one part I did like because she drags Page 6.
And most importantly, on the dark days, I just give it my all to focus on the lesson and not the pain.
I think that was in my last fortune cookie.
So, going back to the Rolls Royce, I wanted to ask you about this listening device that was placed. Can I say that? Was there a listening device in the car?
Yeah, there was a listening device that was planted in actually like another car
Okay.
to listen onto presumably like my private conversations with my fiancé or his conversations with his lawyer. Like, but in the end of the day, it's just a very unfortunate breach of privacy, and yeah, my fiancé is dealing with it in a legal way. So that's all really.
When you found out about, I don't mean to cut you off, but when you found out about that, was that like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's been like one of many very unfortunate breaches of our privacy.
Yeah, that's not like a normal.
It's not, and it shouldn't be normal. And I really firmly believe everybody has a right to privacy.
Yeah, I was gonna get one of those pet cams to listen to my husband, but I decided not to. So I think like a listening device in the car. That's like we're doing next level. Do you? And so this is all being handled through court.
It is.
So, but then you don't know who would have put the listening device in the car. You guys can just only assume.
No, I would know because the person who did it accidentally recorded themselves. That my assumption is, listening to these recordings that we managed to download after all. It sounds like they didn't realize the listening device was on. So like, this person is being heard doing this, all sorts of things, and like I'm not gonna repeat any of that. I want the court to handle this, but also like being heard, like essentially planting the device. So I mean, like, we all know like who it is, but I don't really think it's beneficial for anybody to sit here and expose somebody
Right.
for their own.
I mean, that'll happen in court.
Correct.
I mean, are we sure this isn't a Bravo microphone and camera that maybe had been left in a car by accident? I'm going to give Lisa Hochstein the benefit of the doubt on this one. And you know what else? Recording the conversations. You can't use it in court because they didn't authorize it, but maybe Bravo could use it. Remember, Dr. Lenny did sign a release.
Right. I think that, I'm not going to, and I've gotten in trouble for this in the past, I'm not going to sit here and just like give you all of the amazing flowers on everything, but I am going to say the fact that you are very open about how you don't want to necessarily expose people, but rather have things dealt with in court.
Yeah.
I think that is a great way to go about it, because we're right here. We have people right in front of us. You can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I could, but I'm not here to destroy anybody's life.
Right. I respect that. I mean, now that your relationship with Lenny has become so public, we've seen it on Last Season, and I'm willing to bet everything that going into the new season that we're going to be hearing a little bit more about this. So, I mean, how do you feel?
I feel great.
Oh, okay.
I feel great. I think that if people really look at the situation, they're going to understand that the media always has to sell a story, right? This is just how the industry works. And me, for myself, I'm very comfortable in my truth. I'm very secure in myself. I know what I've done. I know what I didn't do. So just like any other background and outside noise, it's not really touching me too much.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great outlook to have, especially with something that you don't have control over this,
Exactly. Yeah.
You have control over what you do in your personal life and how you navigate your life. But when it comes to the media,
absolutely. And
it's a monster that you're not, you can't get ahead of.
you're absolutely correct. And we can only control our own reaction, our own actions. And most importantly, we can also only control like where our focus goes and our attention goes. And I choose to focus on positivity. I choose to focus on gratitude. And I'm excited for what's next.
I think she's probably talking about her wedding coming up, which I'm sure they're going to make a big deal about. However, I do want to say this. This is not going to end well for either Dr. Lenny or Katherina. Call me psychic, but I have a feeling.
I love that. So I wanted to kick things off with the backlash that you've received ever since your relationship has become public. You know, from Bravo fans, which, let me just say really quick, like The Bachelor, Bravo, any of these major just networks, you get a wild fandom.
Best fans ever.
And as amazing as they can be, they can also, if you're not on their good side, they can go in on you. And you've been called a lot of names that I prefer not to say from Bravo fans, but also media outlets like Page Six.
Truth hurts, sis. Truth hurts.
I'm just going to use one of them, mistress. What is that, like when I say that, what has that been like for you?
I mean, truthfully speaking, and with all due respect, sometimes, mostly not, but sometimes I will see these comments or I will read these articles and I will look at these labels, and it's, with all due respect, I don't know who they're talking about, but it's essentially like they created this, like the press and these storylines on certain TV shows created this like super villain, a super evil person, and it's just not me. I mean, she sounds like a wild time. I would go out with her and have some drinks, but it is not me. And I know my truth. I know who I am. I know who I not am. And in the end of the day, I'm just very secure in that. So these things don't touch me that much.
Unfortunately, I think her and Dr. Lenny don't feel too much about anything. Do you remember the hot mic moment with Dr. Lenny? He basically was pretending that everything was okay with Lisa Hochstein. Meanwhile, he had stopped sleeping with her and hadn't told her why. He hadn't told her that he resented the fact that she could do whatever she wanted and he had to work and stay home. But he wasn't really working and staying home. He was actually seeing Katherina in his spare time and had a full-blown relationship where he says he's in love with her in that scene and doesn't want to cheat with her, with his wife, and says it in front of his son, who's in the room, who Dr. Lenny says doesn't understand, but does it on mic and does it where the cameras are there and thinks they're not going to use it? Is he crazy? I mean, and the kid's there, the kid's going to know that he said all that in front of him. I mean, and Katherina, what she should have said to him was, I can't see you, Dr. Lenny, until you're fully broken off with your family properly and have done the honorable thing. And then I will be there. Because if we really love each other, then time doesn't matter, does it? Let me tell you, if she truly was as classy as she's putting forward, she would have said, I don't want our relationship started off in a tarnished way. I want to know that you're the type of man that is a good man who will not do this to me. I mean, I need to see you be honorable, right? With your family first. But I don't think that her eye was on the prize of Dr. Lenny and the long-term aspect of their relationship. I think it was on the Star Island house and the instant status that it would give her. Such a transactional relationship. Okay, see you on part 2 later today. This is fun. I actually don't think these will get that many views, but I'm enjoying doing them.